Lock the players out. Lock them out. Put some real pressure on them. Send them an email. Hey, if our proposal doesn't get finished by this date, from every day thereon after, the offer will get considerably worse. This is our...
In the high-stakes theater of professional sports negotiations, there is a very fine, incredibly dangerous line between holding your ground and completely losing your grip on reality. When a labor dispute devolves into a staring contest, the winner is rarely the side with the most righteous cause. The winner is the side that actually understands the mathematics of the battlefield. For the past 16 months, the WNBA Players Association has been engaged in a high-profile, intensely publicized standoff with the league's ownership groups. The union leadership walked into the boardroom armed with the unprecedented cultural phenomenon of Caitlin Clark, believing they finally possessed the ultimate leverage to completely rewrite the financial architecture of women's basketball. They swung for the fences, demanding a staggering 27.5% of the league's gross revenue. It was a bold, aggressive opening gambit. But as the clock mercilessly ticks down toward the critical March 10th deadline, the union's strategy has devolved from a confident power play into a completely disorganized, mathematically incoherent circus. Yet, to completely dismiss the players as simply greedy or delusional is to ignore the dark, highly manipulative corporate tactics actively being deployed by the billionaires sitting across the table. We are witnessing a collision between an emotionally driven labor force demanding their fair share of a sudden gold rush and a syndicate of ruthless tycoons who are perfectly willing to burn the entire season to the ground just to maintain their monopoly on the vault. Welcome to the breakdown. Let us explore the spectacular failure of the union's latest proposal, the undeniable physical limitations of the league's infrastructure, and the dark, hidden truth about the ownership's accounting tactics that makes an exploding offer the only inevitable, terrifying conclusion to this war. Let us begin by dissecting the exact moment the union's negotiating credibility essentially evaporated in the eyes of the corporate world. In any legitimate financial negotiation, a counter-proposal is designed to bridge a gap. It signals a willingness to compromise and moves the needle closer to a viable middle ground. The union knew the owners were holding firm at a heavily restricted 15% revenue share, completely disgusted by the original 27.5% demand. Recognizing that their rank-and-file members were beginning to panic over the prospect of a completely unfunded labor lockout, the executive committee finally decided to blink. They submitted a brand new offer, proudly leaking to the press that they were making concessions in good faith to save the 2026 season. Listen to the actual, unvarnished numbers contained within that supposed major concession, and exactly why the ownership groups viewed it as nothing short of a slap in the face.
Send them an email. Hey, if our proposal doesn't get finished by this date, from every day thereon after, the offer will get considerably worse.
They dropped their gross revenue demand from 27.5% down to 26%. They lowered their salary cap demand from $9.5 million to $9.45 million. In the realm of billion-dollar corporate equity, this is not a compromise. This is a poorly executed insult. Imagine walking into a luxury car dealership, offering $20,000 for a vehicle priced at $50,000. And when the dealer laughs and walks away, you proudly chase him into the parking lot to offer $20,050. You have not improved your negotiating position. You have simply confirmed to the seller that you are completely unserious and entirely detached from the market value of the product. The union leadership is operating under the bizarre hallucination that inching their demands downward by microscopic, statistically irrelevant fractions will somehow magically bridge a gap spanning hundreds of millions of dollars, but the sheer incoherence of the union's proposal extends far beyond the percentages. It completely stubbornly ignores the absolute, undeniable physical constraints of the very ecosystem they are attempting to tax. The union executives are looking at the massive, sold-out crowds in Indianapolis and New York, driven entirely by the Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu economies, and they are blindly projecting that top-tier revenue across the entire 36-team landscape. They are demanding a baseline $9.5 million salary cap for every single franchise, regardless of their market size or their local television contracts. They are attempting to force a stadium-sized payroll into a high school-sized infrastructure. Listen to the brutal, unforgiving reality check regarding the actual, physical seating capacities of the WNBA arenas, and why a $9 million payroll is a literal impossibility for a significant portion of the league.
This offer, 26% gross revenue share over the life of the deal, and $9.45 million salary cap in 2026. The previous WNBA offer, 15% gross revenue share over the life of the deal, and
The Washington Mystics play in a facility with a maximum capacity of 4,200 seats. The Atlanta Dream play in an arena that holds exactly 3,500 people. This is the impenetrable brick wall where the union's public relations narrative violently shatters. You cannot debate physics. If a franchise plays 22 home games and they completely sell out every single seat in a 3,500 capacity arena at an average ticket price of $50, the absolute maximum gross gate revenue that franchise can generate is less than $4 million for the entire year. The union is aggressively demanding that ownership groups whose physical buildings can only mathematically generate $4 million in ticket sales somehow voluntarily sign a legally binding contract guaranteeing a $9.5 million player payroll. That payroll does not even begin to cover the multi-million-dollar expenses for newly mandated charter flights, administrative salaries, insurance premiums, and arena maintenance. The union is asking half the league to guarantee an infinite negative return on investment. No private equity firm on earth is going to sign a corporate suicide pact just to appease a workforce that refuses to understand the basic mechanics of commercial real estate limits. However, before we completely condemn the players' union for their mathematical overreach, we must introduce the critical, deeply cynical counter-angle that the mainstream sports media largely ignores. The players are not making these massive, seemingly irrational demands simply because they are greedy. They are making them because they possess a profound, highly justified level of distrust toward the billionaires sitting across the table. For 28 years, the WNBA owners claimed poverty. They told the players the league was a charity, operating at a massive loss, heavily subsidized by the NBA. But suddenly, Caitlin Clark arrives, television ratings quadruple, a $2.2 billion media rights deal is signed, and franchise valuations skyrocket overnight from $20 million to over $150 million. The wealth of the league exploded in the span of 12 months. Yet, when it came time to negotiate, the owners presented an offer that caps the players at 15% of net revenue. In the dark arts of corporate accounting, net revenue is a notoriously deceptive metric. It is the money left over only after the owners deduct every conceivable operating expense. The players know exactly how this game is played. They know the owners will artificially inflate front office salaries, aggressively write off marketing budgets, and claim massive depreciation on their assets, effectively ensuring that the net profit always hovers near zero. The owners are using Hollywood accounting loopholes to hide the Caitlin Clark surplus. The union's demand for 26% of gross top-line revenue is a clumsy, desperate, and ultimately flawed attempt to bypass the billionaires' accounting tricks and guarantee that the players actually see the cash before the accountants hide it. The union's math is undeniably terrible, but their suspicion of the ownership class is entirely warranted. Because both sides are completely entrenched, the players blinded by distrust, and the owners shielded by corporate arrogance. The negotiation has officially reached a deadly stalemate. You can no longer rely on logic to bridge a gap when both parties believe the other is operating in bad faith. To break this deadlock, the ownership groups are preparing to transition from passive negotiation to active, psychological warfare. They are preparing to deploy the most ruthless, heavily weaponized tactic in the history of labor disputes. Listen to the precise, highly aggressive corporate strategy that the ownership groups must immediately implement and exactly how it is designed to completely eradicate the union's remaining solidarity.
And I think he put it right. The owners need to say, this is my offer, this is my final offer. Every day after today that you don't accept this, the offer will get worse and worse and worse and worse. Really lay down the law. I know.
If the proposal does not get finished by the deadline every single day thereafter, the offer gets considerably worse. And it is the absolute most terrifying concept to a working-class athlete whose livelihood depends entirely on the upcoming season. The owners have established a firm deadline of March 10th, but a deadline is completely hollow if there is no severe immediate consequence attached to ignoring it. If the union executives believe that the 15% revenue share offer will patiently remain on the table through April, they will simply continue to hold out, launching public relations attacks and hoping the owners eventually crack under media scrutiny. To destroy that false sense of security, the owners must introduce active compounding financial decay into the ecosystem. They must look the union executives directly in the eyes, remove the safety net, and explicitly state the terms of the punishment. Listen to former sports executive David Sampson eloquently detail the flawless execution of this ruthless strategy. and exactly how the owners must lay down the law to secure a signature.
Seating capacity for Washington Mystics, 4,200. Atlanta Dream, 3,500. 22 home games. You on $9.5 million salary. Are y'all kidding me? Out to lunch. Gotta ride the momentum and grow the game first before this can happen.
This is my final offer. Every single day after today that you do not accept this, the offer will get worse and worse and worse. This strategy is a masterclass in asymmetrical pressure. The magnates and tycoons who own these franchises are completely insulated from immediate financial pain. They can afford to cancel the 2026 season and absorb a temporary tax write-off, but the rank-and-file players, the 80% of the league currently sitting in unrestricted free agency, are utterly desperate for guaranteed income. When the owners implement an exploding offer, they weaponize the calendar against the union leadership. On March 11th, the owners officially pull the 15% revenue share off the table and replace it with 14%. On March 12th, they revoke the guaranteed housing subsidies. On March 13th, they lower the minimum salary thresholds. Every single time the sun rises, the players lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in guaranteed collective wealth. The defensive specialists, the bench players, and the athletes who do not have massive shoe endorsements will instantly panic. They will flood the cell phones of the executive committee, screaming at the leadership, demanding that they sign the deal immediately before the offer completely disintegrates. The union solidarity will violently fracture from the inside out. The executive committee will be overthrown by its own terrified membership, and the owners will secure a heavily discounted collective bargaining agreement without ever having to compromise a single digit. The tragedy of this entire labor war is a fundamental misunderstanding of corporate growth timelines. After 3 decades of operating as a financial black hole, the WNBA finally experienced 1 year of massive, unprecedented profitability. In the real business world, when you have your very first profitable quarter, you do not immediately demand to cash out a third of the gross equity. You sign a conservative bridge deal, you prove the television ratings are sustainable without the novelty of a rookie class, you prove you can convert those new eyeballs into permanent, generational fans. And then, once you have established an undeniable baseline of consistent profitability, you step back into the boardroom and demand the supermax contracts. But the veteran leadership of the union, driven by a toxic cocktail of righteous anger and the terrifying realization that their own athletic windows are rapidly closing, gambled the entire future of the sport on a massive, unfunded cash grab. They completely overplayed their hand against a syndicate of billionaires who wrote the book on corporate leverage. Now, they are staring down the barrel of an exploding offer that will systematically dismantle their financial futures. The March 10th deadline is the ultimate corporate guillotine. The owners have their hands resting casually on the lever, and the players' union has absolutely no leverage left to stop the blade from falling. What is your completely unvarnished, highly analytical take on this spectacular financial collision? Do you believe the union dropping their demand to 26% is a laughable insult or a genuine, albeit clumsy, attempt to negotiate? Do you agree that the players are justified in demanding gross revenue because the owners use Hollywood accounting to hide the true profits? And more importantly, do you believe the owners will actually pull the trigger on an exploding offer on March 11th to force the panicking players into submission? Drop your completely unfiltered, brutal analysis in the comments section below. If you want the uncompromising truth about the real business, the real strategy, and the real cutthroat corporate politics of professional sports, hit that subscribe button, brutally smash the like button, and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a deep dive. We do not do mainstream media fluff on this channel. We expose the leverage, we investigate the accounting loopholes, and we reveal the terrifying corporate mathematics behind the press conferences. I will see you all in the next breakdown.